Hey guys, how's it going? This is Nick Akin on the South China Morning Post in Hong Kong, scmp.com/MMA. This is the post-fight podcast. And today I've got a very special guest. It's none other than Shannon Lee, the daughter of Bruce Lee. She's here to talk about her new book, Be Water, My Friend, The True Teachings of Bruce Lee. But not just that, we talked about so much. Shannon was so generous with her time. We spoke for more than half an hour. We talked about Bruce being the grandfather of MMA, as Dana White called him. We talked about Bruce's impact on the Hong Kong protest movement, his martial arts legacy around the world. We talked about that spat with Tarantino 1 year on, whether the feelings are still so raw. We talked about the new series of Warrior on Cinemax. So much more. Shannon was very cool. Please check it out, guys. I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed recording it.
Take a move in the ring. You can hit me with a word you fling.
Hey, Shannon. What's up?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Sorry. What time is it there? I'm sorry if it's really late.
No, it's only 6.
Oh, cool. Where are you? Whereabouts are you? Are you in the US?
Yeah, I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm in Hong Kong.
Yeah, well, wonderful.
Yeah.
I miss Hong Kong.
Yeah. When's the last time you came here?
The last time I was there, that's a good question. It's been a minute because I haven't been able to go there at all this year. So it must have been last year sometime. I'm there usually at least once or twice a year. So it's been over a year, going on 2 years probably. So that's never a good thing.
Yeah, I guess it's been difficult to come here with the protests and now the virus. So.
Yeah, actually, that is the last time I was there. I was there when the Hong Kong airport got shut down, like for the first time by the protesters. That was the last time I was there. So I believe that was in 2019.
Yeah, like August, was it? I think, or September.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, been a while then. Yeah, I haven't left since last December or something. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, normally I would have come by now, but of course I haven't been able to travel since everything's been shut down since March and in the US and before that.
Good time to write a book, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Or had you already written it before the pandemic?
I had already written it actually, but I was still editing it at that point. So it was a good time to be in solitude to make those last adjustments to the book. So.
Well, yeah, that's what we're here to talk about today. Shannon Lee is Bruce Lee's daughter, obviously, and she's written an awesome new book. I'm going to bring up the reviews because it's been getting some good reviews. I just wanted to show them here. Be Water, My Friend, The Teachings of Bruce Lee. It's getting great reviews, New York Times here. Yeah, how pleased are you with the reception so far?
I mean, so far I'm very pleased. It's always a little nerve-wracking to put something out to share something out into the world, but that you've created, that's your baby, so to speak. But I've been really pleased so far with the reception, and I feel extremely grateful.
Yeah, can you just break it down for us what the book, the essential meaning of the book is and the teaching? It seems quite a philosophical book.
It is a philosophical book, but I also don't want that to scare people away because it's very user-friendly, if you will. and it is a book that, it's part self-help book. It's part, not really memoir, but, it's part biography, part, just putting forth some interesting thoughts and ideas for people to ponder. But really, I have been doing for a while a podcast called the Bruce Lee Podcast, which was where myself and my co-host Shannon Lee, we would talk about my father's philosophies and how to break them down and how to apply them. And then over time, I started really wanting to be able to do something in a new format and an additional format. And I started talking to a literary agent who had been listening to the podcast, and he said, "Well, have you ever thought about writing a book?" And so this book is about specifically my father's water philosophy, which, if you don't know the famous quote about being like water, he spoke about that often. And it was a main part of his practice and his philosophy. And so I really wanted to, and it seems to be one that people are most familiar with. So I wanted to use that as sort of the format for discussing his life, discussing my life a bit, discussing his philosophy, but also how to use the philosophy in your own life.
Yeah, I mean, I love the podcast as well, I've got to say. Have
good.
you got any tips for me? I'm trying to grow my podcast here on YouTube, and where you on Spotify as well and everything like that?
Yeah, we are where most podcasts are available, iTunes, Spotify. I don't know if we're on YouTube. We don't, so far, we don't video record the podcasts. It's just an audio recording, and we haven't, put them up on YouTube just yet, but that may be something that will happen at some point. We've been really fortunate that, obviously there are a lot of people who are fans of my father, but not necessarily people are interested in an applied philosophy podcast. So, it's a niche market, if you will, but I feel really grateful that we've had so many people listen and not only listen, but be really affected and feel and give us great feedback as well, that they really enjoy it and it's been helpful to them.
Yeah, you've really taken on this mantle, haven't you, of protecting your father's legacy and teaching the world about what he wanted to teach the world. How invested are you in that, and how rewarding is it to be able to keep Bruce Lee's memory alive like this?
Yeah, I mean, I always say he doesn't need that much help from me. He did all the work himself, and we are still wowed and amazed by that. That said, I don't think that a light has been shined on his legacy as brightly in terms of him being a philosopher and in terms of the personal work that he put in. I think, a lot of people know him as a martial artist, and they know him as the person in the action films from the 70s, and they love that part of him, and they see him as stylish and cool and fit and all of these things, but they don't understand or know necessarily the amount of work that he put in personally and mentally and spiritually to have this end result that is so exciting and so engaging for people to see. And so he and I, like, the philosophy is where we intersect. Like, he and I meet there. I have a love of learning new things, of working on myself, of delving into, all of my motivations and knowing myself in a deeper way. And so did he. And so it is my absolute honor and privilege and pleasure to continue to put these messages out into the world, because I think they're extremely useful. They've been extremely useful for me in my own life.
And how fun is it to be able to take on this legacy of your father in a new, refreshing way, like you said, like the philosophical way? Everyone knows him obviously for his martial arts expertise and his famous films, but has it just been like a fun new challenge for you?
It's definitely been a challenge. I mean, and it's been very rewarding so far. I'm not going to lie. There's been times when it's really hard. It seems like it should be easy. It seems like everybody's like, oh, everybody loves Bruce Lee. Who wouldn't want to be connected to Bruce Lee? But it's not as easy as all that. And it's taken a lot of time and energy, and there's been a lot of things that have gone wrong and a lot of things that have gone right. And so I'm very but it's been extremely rewarding. I mean, look, he's my dad, so obviously it's amazing for me to be able to do something wonderful for my dad, right? But beyond that, he's an amazing person with a really valuable message. And so that just adds even more goodness to it. I always tell people if it were just about the t-shirts, like making cool t-shirts and posters, then it wouldn't be that exciting for me.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, you mentioned it can be difficult at times. Obviously, last year there was that big stuff with the film from Tarantino, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. How is that looking a year on? Have you, like, reflecting on that? Have you felt any different? Because I remember I had very strong feelings. I agreed with you. Where, we had Jason Tobin in on the show from Warrior. He said some great stuff, I think. But yeah, are you still really angry about that? Have you reflected on it, or what's your feeling like a year on?
I mean, my feeling is the same. I wouldn't say, to say, oh, I was really angry. I don't know if I would use those terms specifically.
I guess I was, sorry.
I was very disappointed. I'm not going to say I wasn't angry at all, but certainly sitting in the movie theater and having that experience with an audience was not a fun experience for me. It was very disheartening. It made me feel a lot of negative feelings, but my opinion has not changed. I always like to try to give the benefit of the doubt. I spoke out on what I thought, why I thought the portrayal was not a good portrayal, why it wasn't helpful to anyone really. But I tried to approach it from, like a cool and collected and more calm, though direct point of view. And I was very disappointed to see Quentin Tarantino's response, which was to continue to say, Bruce Lee was arrogant, he was an asshole, and then to incorrectly cite my mother's book and as defense of him. And I really thought it was irresponsible of him to do what he did and have that portrayal. I think there are so many other creative ways he could have made the Cliff Booth character look good in that film. I think there are so many other ways he could have treated the Bruce Lee character that would have gotten the same plot point across without having to essentially treat Bruce Lee the way that White Hollywood treated my father when he was alive.
And I'm presuming he never reached out to you or anything like that.
No. No.
Was it cool to see so many people rally to your cause? I know, you had like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Everyone was just saying, no, Bruce Lee wasn't like that. He was an amazing human being.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's unfortunate because I think it has started this narrative in some places where people are saying, oh, Bruce Lee was an asshole. And look, everybody can be an asshole sometimes. Like, I can be angry and arrogant and be an asshole. It's happened in my life. Would I say that that's what I'm like? Generally, no. And my father was not like that generally either. He was extremely passionate, extremely driven. Look, he could have a temper. He could all those things, but he did not go around challenging people to fights. Certainly not after he was a teenager anyway. And he didn't behave or boastfully in that way. He was extremely confident, which I think that when people are confident and people are driven, that a lot of times people see that as aggressive in some way, and they don't like to be challenged in terms of their own notions. I don't mean challenged physically in terms of a fight. I mean challenged in terms of their own ideas. And so a lot of times it's easier for us to say, oh, well, that person's just an asshole, than to really open our minds and consider what someone else is saying. And not only that, but I mean, my father worked extremely hard and directly toward the idea of authentic representation in Hollywood for an Asian man. And so I don't think he would have gone around beating up stunt people and that kind of stuff as a way of furthering his cause. And I just have to say, for a person of color in the 1960s and 70s to have been able to achieve what he achieved, he had to be doing something right, and he had to have extreme confidence, and he had to work 10 times harder than a lot of people had to work. And so I think it's a lot to just throw all that out, by this silly portrayal of him.
One of the points I love most that Jason made when he spoke to us, obviously Jason plays Young Jun in Warrior, which hopefully I can talk to you about in a bit. But he said he's a big fan of Tarantino, but he feels like Warrior is the kind of thing that Tarantino would love, and that's the kind of film that Tarantino should be making if he's such a martial arts lover. But do you think Warrior, this is your show, is this more an authentic portrayal than anything that Tarantino was serving up there with his martial arts films, something like Kill Bill or, that scene in Once Upon a Time?
I hate to compare all of his canon of movies, which, by the way, I have enjoyed a number of in my day, to Warrior. I think Warrior is something different entirely. It relies more on a much more well-rounded look at the characters that are in the show. That we have an amazing Asian cast of very varied and three-dimensional characters who are powerful in their own ways, who are flawed in their own ways, and who are sort of dramatically struggling, for recognition and for power in their own ways within the show. And it's more of an action drama, whereas, Tarantino's films are much more. Our show is extremely stylish, but it has a little bit more of the soul of a message, I think. And his stuff is stylish in a little bit more of like a hyper exploitation of known tropes and characters, and ours is a little bit more of an inward look at these things and an attempt to flip them around in a positive way.
Well, how great is it to be back with Warrior? I think you filmed this season 2 a while ago, right? But it's finally seeing the light. Yeah. So, I mean, there was some problems with Cinemax, right? And now, but have you secured a deal for it to be shown, I believe, on HBO Max? Is that right?
We filmed this season a while ago, and we did, and once season 2 finishes airing on Cinemax, then seasons 1 and 2 will be available on the HBO platforms, which is great because there's a much bigger audience, and the hope is that more people will get to see the show, more people will love the show, and if we can get some kind of large outcry from fans, we're hoping to be able to continue to work on the show.
So there's no season 3 confirmed yet?
There's no season 3, and it's mostly just because we got caught up in a big merger of a company, and we got caught up in a corporate decision to cancel all of the original programming that Cinemax does without any individual thought to our show, which I think is really a shame because, look, I know all of the Cinemax shows suffered the same fate as us, and I know that all of those people are extremely upset with that turn of events. That said, I think our show is like one of the only shows in the 1 hour television format that has a huge Chinese cast and that tells an important story and highlights an important and very relevant part of U.S. history and in a really fun and entertaining way. And so there are no plans for season 3 at the moment, but we're hoping, and I know that everybody in the cast and the crew would be thrilled if we could bring it back for more.
Yeah, it just said there October 2nd, I think. I can't wait. I'm such a huge fan. I got to watch the first season out here, and I was really hoping that the second season would see the light. What was it like for you, though, working with, because I'm mainly based in mixed martial arts, my coverage. Did you meet Michael Bisping when he was on set there?
I did, actually. I did meet Michael, and he was great. And we got to chat for a little bit. And that episode they filmed on location, some ways away from the set. So and so I was called somewhere else, but I did get to meet him, and he was great.
Yeah, and I mean it's such a great cast as you mentioned, and there really is nothing like it on TV. How rewarding is that for you? Just to even if this is the last season of it, I think it's something that's going to be remembered for a long time, and will build an even bigger audience. Do you think that's the case? It might become a cult show with or without any more seasons.
I certainly hope so. Look, I'm thrilled to have been able to create this show, to have it see the light of day, to be able to sort of finish out what my father started 50 years ago. I mean, that's quite something. So it's a shame that we won't really get to see it all the way through, because as you'll see, season 2 ends and without a whole lot of conclusion. So there's more story to tell, and I'd love to get the opportunity to tell it. But regardless of that, it's a phenomenal show. It's got a little something for everybody. So if you like action, if you like period piece, if you like, Westerns, if you like Kung Fu, all of these things, it's got style, it's got great drama, lots of conflicting storylines and characters, and it's really got a lot for everybody. And I think that I really hope that people really gobble it up and take it in and enjoy it, because it's great.
Yeah, I can't wait. I cannot wait. I mean, just again on Jason, sorry, because he's Hong Kong. He's come to the studio a couple of times. How great is it for him as well? You've seen now he's going to be in Fast and Furious 9, I think is the new one. Is this part of the joy of this project? Is like it's something that's really launched his career, and I'm sure, or relaunched it, and a few others of the cast are now getting more opportunities off of it.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm so thrilled. I'm so thrilled for Jason that he has been in Fast and Furious. I know Andrew just got a part in the new Brad Pitt film, Bullet Train. And I know that a number of the cast are, Olivia's working on a show shortly. And she's going to be on C, I believe, the Apple show C with Jason Momoa. So, I mean, I'm thrilled. I want nothing but the absolute best for everybody that worked on this show. I want nothing but the best for everyone always, period. But really, to have played any small part in being able to help these talented and wonderful individuals to go on to something more is absolutely my joy.
Yeah, do you think that's something Bruce would have really tried to do as well, to help others through his career?
Oh, definitely. I mean, my father did. When he was in Hong Kong, he had one of his good friends was Unicorn Chan, and I know he helped him with a particular project. And, my father, it's funny. I asked one of my father's friends and students, who was my Jeet Kune Do instructor for a number of years. His name is Ted Wong, and I asked Ted, what's something about my dad you don't think a lot of people know? And he said, Your dad was extremely caring. He really cared about people, and he was super generous with his time and his energy. And he just really wanted to help people.
And
Yeah.
obviously, his legacy still lives on in Hong Kong forever.
Mm-hmm.
He's still such an important figure here. No one's forgotten him. How great is that for you to see? And is it rewarding to be able to play a part in that? But I know you said he will always. It doesn't matter. But yeah, is it just great to see that no one will ever forget Bruce?
Oh, absolutely. And look, I know that some of the things I do help him to reach some people that maybe wouldn't wouldn't be drawn toward him without that, But I'm thrilled to be able to get his quotes and sayings and images and clips and things out via social media to new audiences all the time. Um, I'm I'm just I'm always so amazed at how loved he is all around the world, and how much impact he continues to have, how much relevance, how much he continues to inspire and motivate people. It's unbelievable. There's nowhere in the world that I have been where people don't know the name Bruce Lee.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say as well, it's interesting when you look. I don't want to put you on the spot, obviously, but he was like a hero of the protest movement in Hong Kong as well. But it's not just that side. Everyone loves him. Doesn't matter who you are, I think, in Hong Kong or around the world, does it? He
Yeah.
seems to inspire everyone. But yeah, he was this figure of the protests here. They like the saying "Be water." They took that to heart in their movement.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, but was that interesting to see how he became a figure of that movement?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I had nothing to do with that. That was all, uh, the adoption of the protesters. And when I see things like that, I'm always amazed. And this is the point really of his philosophy, which is that it is to be applied. It is to help you to figure out how to move through life in a particular way. And so it's interesting to me to see those types of adaptations happening just completely on their own, because he's beloved, because people know of his work. And in particular, I know that my father is just such a huge beloved and adored, uh, uh, son of Hong Kong, really.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Shannon Lee. Can we plug the book? Where can
Yes.
everyone find it? When's it out? And yeah, just give us the lowdown.
Yes, Be Water, My Friend, The Teachings of Bruce Lee. It's out October 6th in the US, and I think it's October 8th in other territories. So it's right around next week. And you can find it at, where all major retail books are sold. And also there is an audiobook as well that I recorded. So if you like an audiobook, that's also available. And, I just want to say this book is for everyone. You don't have to be a Bruce Lee fan. You don't have to be a martial artist. You don't have to be, into philosophy even. If you're just a human being that struggles with things from time to time, which I think most of us are, this book is really for you. And I think there's something for everyone in it.
I'm really sorry. I forgot to ask you one thing. I promise this is the last.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really sorry.
No worries.
I just wanted your thoughts on because I cover MMA a lot. Bruce has been called the grandfather of MMA by Dana White, who's the UFC president. Is that a comparison you liked? What do you think about that? Do you think he was the grandfather of it? Did he really introduce it in a way? Did he create the beginnings of what became mixed martial arts?
I think that I'm not troubled by that association at all. I think that it is a worthy association. I don't think my father would have called what he did mixed martial arts, but I understand that there is a lineage there. What my father was saying about martial arts is that if you want to be a fully expressive martial artist, you have to be able to encounter any scenario, whether that's on the ground, whether that's standing up. You have to really look inside yourself and say, what is the most effective way of moving my arms and legs in combat? And that's what he was getting at in his creation of Jeet Kune Do. And he looked at other arts. He most certainly did, but he didn't have like a recipe, like, 2 cups boxing, 1 cup fencing, 3 cups taekwondo. It wasn't like that. It was more just like, let's look at all the different ways in which human beings have engaged in the combat arts. And now let me put that into my body and figure out what works for me. And by the way, let's also look at, like I said, like things like fencing. Let's also look at things like, Newton's laws of motion. Let's also look at biomechanics and kinesiology and all that stuff. So he was experimenting, and he was open-minded, and he did adopt different thoughts and different ideas and put them into practice for him, and created his own techniques. And at the end of the day, whether we're calling it MMA or whether we're calling it, Jeet Kune Do, or whether we're calling it whatever, it's all just like, how can I be, in the words of the UFC, like the ultimate fighter, right? Like how can I do that? It's a little different because UFC is a sport. So there are rules and there are, guidelines that have to be followed, which is also different from Jeet Kune Do, which was not a sport. So I do think that my father was the first person he wasn't certainly the first person to study more than one art, but he was definitely the first person to speak about it so vocally and write about it and teach it and put it out, put these thoughts out into the world in a really public way. And therefore, I think you can very legitimately draw a line from him to where we are now.
Yeah, just quickly. Yeah, would you think he'd like to watch it or compete in it if he could?
Oh, he would absolutely love to watch it. My father was a fight fan. Like he would have loved it. Whether or not he would have competed, I don't know, because he didn't compete in his life. He did not believe in martial arts for competition. So he was more interested in martial arts for his own artistry and self-expression. That said, I'm sure he would have loved to have trained with all these athletes, to have sparred with all these athletes, to have traded ideas with all these athletes, to have even maybe guided some of these athletes. I think he would have loved it.
Well, it's been a real pleasure to talk to you, Shannon. I'm so thankful. I'm really grateful for your time. I know I've gone pretty long here. I appreciate it. Yeah, and can't wait for the book. It sounds awesome, and yeah, I hope that everyone go check it out, please. It sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I hope everyone reads the book. I hope everyone watches Warrior, and
Yes.
we have some new episodes of the Bruce Lee podcast coming in a few weeks too. So.
Yeah, how can I forget Warrior? I can't wait for it, really. I can't. It's going to be awesome. Again, thank you so much, Shannon. Cheers.
Okay, thank you so much. Lovely to speak with you.